Hello, everyone, and welcome to Journey to Success Radio, a show featuring people and companies who are making a positive contribution to the world. This show will help you learn how to apply success principles in every area of your life so that you can make the most out of your skills and talents and accomplish more of your goals. To find out more about the show, please visit www.journeytosuccessradio.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Journey to Success Radio. My name is Tom Too Tall Cunningham. I'm a resiliency expert and Napoleon Foundation certified instructor, helping people to think, speak, and act positively through the many and varied challenges of life. Find out more about me in this interview at my website, which is Tom, 2, and Tall, TALL.com. My guest today is the amazing Jessica Dumas. She's the owner and founder of Prime Image Life Coaching. Her passion is personal and professional development coaching and to motivate others to reach their highest potential through natural gifts and personal vision. Her wisdom has been gained in overcoming the hardship and tragedy she has experienced in her own life, and in turn chooses to advocate and promote the understanding of the current and historical matters of the Aboriginal community. She is a powerful and professional role model. Jennifer demonstrates all qualities of great leadership. She is currently serving as chairwoman, of the Aboriginal Chamber of Commerce. She commits her time to membership in committees that promote success, sustainability, and innovation, such as the Winnipeg Chamber's Human Resource Leadership Council, Excellence in Aboriginal Business Leadership Award Selection Committee, and a number of others. She is also certified life coach through the Certified Coaches Federation, which is founded by my amazing friend, Derrick Sweet. Welcome to the show today, Jessica.
Thank you very much, Tom.
We have been communicating for a while, and it's exciting to finally have you on the show.
Yeah, it is. It was really exciting I remember our first phone call, and we sort of just hit it off, and I think we had so much to talk about, so definitely exciting to participate today.
All right, and one thing we have in common, we are both fans of Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, definitely. And my very first, I think how I first discovered you was in my research of just looking at Napoleon Hill, people who are sort of following the practices and sharing it. So that was really exciting because I don't know anybody else who knew who Napoleon Hill was, so it was exciting for me.
Nice. Now, as I mentioned, you are a certified life coach through the Certified Coaches Federation, founded by the amazing Derrick Sweet. Derrick Sweet and I brought Victor Hansen, author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, to Ottawa about 25 years ago.
Wow.
He's about 3 feet taller than me. The guy's a giant with an infectious smile. And so talk about what it means to be a life coach and about being certified from the Certified Coaches Federation. I believe, not just because of Derrick, that it's the best life coaching certification on the planet. And so talk about what it means to be a life coach and specifically, why you decided to go with the Certified Coaches Federation.
Sure. I personally haven't met Derrick Sweet, so that's very cool that you guys have that relationship. I'm very honored to be certified through that federation. I think that it's a great opportunity for anyone who's interested in getting into coaching, because it really helped me just find the platform of what it is that I wanted to do as a life coach. So what it means for me to be a life coach is that I'm demonstrating everything that I talk about. So, for example, on my website, I have a list of topics such as thought patterns, moving on after loss and divorce, single parenting, building confidence and motivation, all events that I've dealt with myself, that I've stormed, that I've overcome in my life. And I really feel like life coaching is what allows me to be in that position to demonstrate everything that I learn when it comes to wanting better for myself. And I think that having stormed all of the issues that I did, I feel really good about where I am in my life. I feel like I'm moving forward, and like I said, being a life coach allows me to share those practices of being a motivated person.
It's nice when you've gone through those challenges and are able to use them to help other people, to encourage and inspire them during their own challenges, isn't it?
Mhm. Yeah, and I realize that any success that I have it's not about me or about what I do, but it's about what people want to talk about and what people are needing when it comes to soul food. And I think as a society, we don't often talk a lot about healthy, loving relationships. And so again, that's something that's really important to me. Having tools and practicing my own is something. So as a life coach, it means that I get to talk about these things. And I enjoy spending time researching and finding out better, or not better, but just ways to really implement these tools and make them easy for people to understand, so that they can easily pick them up and say, okay, I can do this. And I like to make myself available to sit down and talk about those things step by step, and how do we really get it into our lives right now.
Nice, exactly. So how did you get to where you are on your journey at the moment as a life coach, and you're involved with the Aboriginal Chamber of Commerce, but you probably didn't start off early in life, did you, knowing exactly what your definite purpose was, as Napoleon Hill refers to it? How have you evolved over the years, and how did you get to, as I said, where you are on the journey now?
Well, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a high school guidance counselor, because I had a guidance counselor. Her name is Mrs. Stargarter, and her and I still are connected. And I thought that the work that she is doing to help youth get out and do something that they're interested in doing, and really do something meaningful. To me, that was something that was sort of always at the back of my mind. Although I didn't really want to be a high school guidance counselor, I wanted to be able to offer that same type of support, but in a different way. So it was 2012 when I was unemployed and I was looking for work. And like most entrepreneurs, I'm sure, I was searching through job listings after job listings, and I couldn't find myself fitting in any of these positions that I was seeing that were listed. And I really felt a fear to apply for these jobs. I felt like applying for those jobs were me putting myself into a box, and it really scared me. So I began to explore a little bit more of who am I and what did I want to do with my life. And because of all of the tragedies that I'd experienced in my life, using my youngest brother and my cousin, who they were killed when they were really young, and it was separate events. And I was divorced, which left me a single parent. And so I'd gone through all these major events, and it allowed me to spend time making the decision that I really had to do something that was really important to me, something that was really meaningful, and something that was absolutely true to me. And so I spent a few, or more than a few, late, intimate nights with Google and observed the term life coach. And I think it was just, through the job searching and, coming across all types of industries and types of work, I came across life coach. And so that's what led me to the Certified Coaches Federation. Is I found more information on that, and I thought to myself, if I could just get the certificate, it'll be the step that I need in this new direction that I want in my life. And so I took that training in September of 2012, and yeah, and it's just really allowed me to do the meaningful work that I've been wanting to do. And I like to work with youth. And I remember that when you're young, you don't want to listen to anyone else's advice. You only want to listen to, what your friends are going through and what you experience. And so for me, it was important to just make that information available to youth. And so that was sort of one of the first things that I started doing when I started life coaching was I did some youth programming and resume development workshops for youth and working with some school divisions. And it was really good. It felt really good to me. And I volunteer a lot. I always have. So with the Aboriginal Chamber of Commerce, it was around the same time that I had joined the chamber, and it was wanting to get more involved with the business community. And I knew some friends who were on this for board members. And so I became a member. I joined the board and have been serving the chairperson for it's been over a year now. And yeah, it's been really good to also connect with other professionals. I also have a meetup group that I do with some people who are interested in doing more speaking events and coaching type work. I call it Star Treps, which stands for Starting Entrepreneurs. And we meet once a month, and it's basically like a support coaching group kind of thing. We get together and network and promote each other, and so I enjoy doing that as well.
Nice. And now most life coaches that I've talked to or know, they tend to specialize in certain areas. You can't necessarily cover everything. And so who are your ideal clients that you work with?
Well, I have been able to narrow it down because myself as well, when I first started, I was so pumped to get busy that I wanted to do everything and anything. So I was chasing after every opportunity because I thought, and I knew for the most part, I knew I could do that. I could do this. I could do that, right? There's so many exciting opportunities. And but I did also realize that, I kind of have to narrow it down because that's just crazy. And I do want to be able to specialize in certain areas. So the areas that I specialize in the most would be stress and anxiety, so helping people identify their triggers and then finding realistic tools that they can use right on the spot. And so that's one of my things. I also like to do customer service training. I believe that there's a lot more better customer service that we can receive out there. So that's also something that I enjoy spending my time doing. But it's really working with people who are feeling bored or they're misdirected in just the rush of life, and how do they find their passion? How do they find their fun? So someone who's looking for something like that. I also like to work with management who want to develop a real leadership relationship with their organization and support their staff. Not all management have those skills, and they still need to be developed. So I believe that I've had my own opportunity to develop that leadership relationships with different organizations, and so I like to share that. And I also facilitate. I love facilitating. I build engaging facilitation workshops, and so working better together with groups, with individuals, and defining yourself is another workshop that I offer. And it's really just about being a higher self, being a higher you.
Let's talk about this, helping people find their purpose and their passion. It's what I get asked the most about, most questions about. It's what I do the most coaching on. And it's the number one success principle of the Napoleon Hill 17 success principles. Once you find and know that you know your purpose, why God put you on this planet, it really helps you ignore a lot of distractions in life and focus almost maniacally on pursuing that purpose and that passion that you were created for. Talk a little bit about that, because once you have that written document and you know it's the right purpose, boy, that really is exciting, isn't it?
It is. It's so exciting, and that's my favorite part of coaching, is being able to be a part of that. And so I have a questionnaire that I will share with people, and it's a list of passion questions is what I call them. And it's really getting people to stop and think about what gets you excited, what makes you happy. And I know sometimes when you ask someone that question for the first time, they're like, I have no idea. So then I'll give them some activities on what they can do. And for example, one of them would be go to the bookstore and, give yourself some time at the bookstore and just search. Don't go with any intention. Just go and search and find out, where do you end up? Where do you spend the most time in that store? What's the most interesting to you? And that's one of my favorite things to do. And I laugh because I still love to do it just because I love the bookstore, but I always end up in like the business or the self-development section. And but I think that's a really good activity, and it's, for a few of the clients that I've worked for that needed that specific assignment, that's what they did, and things went really well. So it's really just getting people to stop and think about, okay, what really makes you happy, and how can we find that? So that's one of the things, for sure.
Now, one thing I've discovered through a few friends that I interviewed and figured out, and probably you have as well, is that your definite purpose, your passion, does not always have to be also your job. If you have a very strong, definite purpose or passion, your job can financially fuel your purpose and your passion. Not everybody can pursue their passion and purpose as a living, but I bet it can help them earn more money on their job, especially if they're in sales, because they could pour that extra money into their purpose and passion, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's a distinction that not everybody makes. Everybody thinks, or many people think, they can pursue their purpose and passion as their job. Not always the case, but certainly if you can earn enough money on your job to pursue your passion and make a difference in the world, that often is important for people as well. Now,
definitely.
Who or what inspires you? Who or what inspires you?
Well, I've learned what I do now for my own practices to keep motivated is I spend time meditating, and I spend time just clearing my mind, because I know how hard it is. It takes so much focus to be able to not worry. And I'm really proud to say that I don't worry. I mean, not to say that I never absolutely worry or I'm not human, but unlike allowing worry to stop me from doing something or take over my time from, enjoying a day off and worrying about work that's coming next week or something that's going on back home kind of thing. That's one thing that I feel really good about. And it's just been with clearing my mind. I'm inspired by entrepreneurship. I love talking to people who have business ideas and they're wanting to act on it and they're not really sure what to do. I love being able to talk with them and motivate them. Anyone who's going after what it is that they want. So maybe it's not entrepreneurship. Maybe someone can't leave their job or they're just not ready to do that. I love talking to people about, well, what can you do now? What kind of things can you start to do now with your time? How do you make that extra time? I think people will often overlook volunteering when it comes to building skills and following your passion, because my sister is a perfect example, myself as well, and I'm sure there's so many others who've received paid work from just from volunteering. And so that, when I hear about volunteerism, those kinds of things really excite me, really inspire me. And also people who pay for coaching. And I don't mean that as a benefit to myself. Pay for coaching anywhere, pay for any type of, whether it's counseling or something that they need to invest in themselves. When I hear about those things, that's what really inspires me. And I'm a fan of Napoleon Hill. I've read his book more than a couple of times. And I also listen to teachings of Abraham Hicks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, really filling myself with positive information and, allowing myself to feel good things, I think is something that's really important to me.
Nice. And tell us a little bit more. Who else is Jessica besides all these other things as well?
Well, I am a mother to 3 boys. I have a 17-year-old named Ethan. I have a 12-year-old named James, and an 8-year-old named Rylan. So 3 boys that keep me busy. And I also have a romantic and loving man in my life who I'm really happy with. And like I said, I run the group Star Trek. And I really feel good about creating that space for a group of people to get together and motivate each other, network, share ideas, and just really boost each other. I'm the chair of the Aboriginal Chamber of Commerce, so that really allows me to do some bigger networking in the community in Winnipeg and Manitoba with all sorts of businesses and organizations. And I volunteer for a lot of things. My love for my community has really brought me to do some really amazing things, meet some really great people. This year, I actually won an award for the top 40 Manitobans under 40, making a positive impact in Manitoba. And so that was an honor. And our mayor, the mayor of Winnipeg, Brian Bowman, also started a new group this year called the Mayor's Indigenous Advisory Circle, and I got invited to be a part of that, and so that's very exciting. And I just, one thing about the Aboriginal community, I really believe that it's a really fast-growing group of people right now, and Winnipeg is the highest population of Aboriginal people in Canada. And so many good things are happening in the community. So I'm really happy to be part of the Aboriginal Chamber of Commerce at this time because it's like a renaissance for the Aboriginal community. So many good things happening. And I love women leading women and supporting each other. And I do projects on my own. One of them is called Lovebirds. And I've interviewed several couples who are in, good, loving relationships. And the reason that I do that is to just highlight that pure love in relationships, because I don't think that we see enough of that in the media. And so I did one of those one of those projects in, when was it now? 2014 in February I did it. And so this year I'm working on a video project. Doug Thomas, who is a photographer in the community, is working with me on that and interviewing couples. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. I'm also a marriage commissioner, although I haven't married anyone yet. Yeah, so
That's kind of cool. Let's talk about one thing you mentioned that I am a big fan of, promoter of, volunteering. I was raised in my parents volunteered a lot. My mother's been the executive director of more nonprofit organizations than I can even remember or think of. Today she's on the board of the food bank in Mississauga. I forget what it's called. She's been Distress Center in Ottawa, president of the board, and my father as well. And my sisters one of my sisters does a ton of volunteering with World Vision, going to third world countries. And so this is
Nice.
just the environment I was brought up in, and
Yeah.
yet it's discouraging and sad to even think amongst my own friends how many people do not volunteer at all. And
Yeah.
yet there's such joy and there's such
Mhm.
passion and so many good things that come from volunteering, not only helping others, but how you feel about yourself. How did you come into this realization of volunteering and get into it as passionately as you have? Because that certainly sets you apart from people
Mhm.
who do little or none.
Mhm. Yeah, actually I remember so many conversations that I've had with friends or just people that I'm getting to know, and will, connect for coffee or see each other on the street, and they'll ask, "So what are you up to?" And I've usually got like 10 things to tell them. This is what I'm up to, and there's so much, and then I'll turn to them and I'll say, "So what are you up to?" And they're like, "Oh, not much." And I'm like, "What? What are you doing with your time? Like, how do you not have time?" But
Right.
I think for me, it really goes back to high school, and I had some teachers, and like I said, my high school guidance counselor, Mrs. Stargarter, her name is Ruth Stargarter, and now as an adult, because we still connect, it's really hard to call her Ruth. I still call her Mrs. Stargarter, but she really encouraged me to do a presentation with some young women in high school, and so I had my oldest son while I was still in high school. And he came with me to the infant lab, is what they called it, and so he could go to it was a daycare center while I went to class in high school. And so she was really impressed that I was doing well in school. I was the first mom in that infant program to make it on the honor roll, and so she thought that she would invite me to do a presentation to some other young girls on. I don't even remember what the presentation was on. I remember being so nervous because it was the first time that I had spoke to anyone, especially about my own, my own experiences. But when I was done, I felt really good about sharing that experience and taking something out of my own life and using it as an example. And so that was
Nice.
sort of my first opportunity at, doing something out of the norm. And since then, I knew that if there was a job that needed to be done, whether there's something that a committee, a seat needs to be filled, or an event coming up needed someone to keep the traffic off the road, or whatever it was, I just knew that this is really important work, and I enjoy it, and even if I'm not going to get cash for it today, that it's going to benefit me. And I've always just believed in that. And I couldn't imagine it any different. I know that you can't get paid for everything that you do, but what you get, what you get back from giving all of that is just, it's so much more to me than having to get paid for everything. Although, I mean, of course, I'm not going to say that that's not important. You definitely have to survive. But I couldn't see myself not volunteering.
Exactly. The
Mhm.
amazing people you meet when you volunteer is one thing.
Mhm.
The networking is incredible, and it's part of Napoleon Hill's going the extra mile principle.
Right.
And I wish there was a mathematical formula I could give to people that if you volunteer a lot, things come back to you, maybe in a different
Mhm.
arena, a different avenue from a different source. But, people might think, wow, you're so lucky that that dropped into your lap. No,
Mhm.
I'm not so
Mhm.
lucky. I went out and in advance, I paid it forward by volunteering tons of my time. And the universe has, or God has recognized that
Mhm.
and sent me this opportunity. And so uh, I believe so much that you do get back as long as you're not going into it
Yeah.
to get back. If you're going into it with a
Right.
sincere, loving, genuine heart, it will come back to you somehow. God rewards that somehow, some way. I wish there was a formula to let people
Mhm.
know, but it sure does come back to help and
Mhm.
benefit you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you 100%. It's definitely been an exciting journey for me. And like I mentioned earlier, the award that I received earlier this year was all from the volunteer work that I do. You know, that recognition and really the recognition is not so much meaningful besides the fact that it was my peers that had recognized me for that.
Right.
And to me, it's such an honor. And I didn't start this volunteer work to get that award or to get nominated for a specific committee or position or anything like that, but it's definitely a nice acknowledgement of the work that I do.
It is, yes, exactly. You don't go into it for the acknowledgement, but eventually, if you do a ton of it like you are going to get acknowledged. Now, let's talk about you're an Aboriginal, and you're heavily involved in the Aboriginal community. Does that mean that a good percentage of your coaching clients are from the Aboriginal community as well?
I would say about maybe 50% of my clients are. So it's a good mixture. I also do some workshops with non-Aboriginal organizations who are looking at building relationships with Aboriginal either employees or maybe this department is going into an Aboriginal community that they, to do some work or whatever. And it's a working better together type of workshop. So
nice. But 50% is a good percentage and somewhat maybe a little bit of a niche for you as well. I don't know, although I don't know thousands of life coaches, I don't know any other than you that are life coaches in the Aboriginal community.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, I don't think that there are. And so, it's really nice. I think the other thing about becoming a life coach and being an entrepreneur that I'd like to mention is, and it's also the Napoleon Hill teachings as well, is that once I started and I sort of launched it, I remember the first time, wanting to introduce myself as a life coach, and I'm thinking, well, am I really? Like, who have I really life coached at this point? And but I knew that if that's what I wanted to be, that's what I had to introduce myself as, and that's what I had to feel good about and feel strong about. And so doing that in my community and then having everyone recognize me as that made me feel like, oh, wow, look what I've done. So that was really great in, just being able to be bold and make that statement. Because when I first started, people were like, oh, what's a life coach? And, totally blank. And,
right.
Yeah, and so that was in 2012. And now when I tell people that I'm a life coach, they're like, really? That's so cool. And tell me more. And then it's more of a real deep conversation as opposed to me educating them, what the heck is that? So it's nice that industry has come around that way because, it's good for me.
Right. And kind of cool for me to find out that, people in the Aboriginal community are seeking out life coaches, just like people in every community.
Yeah.
People used to say even Tiger Woods has a coach, but he's not very great anymore. So let's talk about. But every athlete has a coach, and everybody should have at least an accountability partner, if not a coach. And so nice that as an Aboriginal coaching another Aboriginal, you would be aware of the unique challenges of the of being an Aboriginal, and that could really set you apart from other life coaches that don't have that same background in life experience.
Yeah, for sure. I've after high school, I worked for Manitoba Hydro, so a large corporation, and so that really taught me a lot about working in a corporation company, and then the work that I had done after that, I worked with First Nation communities. So it's really allowed me to really develop, how do you build that bridge for these two different type of cultures to be working together. And some people will say, well, really, what's the difference? We're all people. But there really are different parts of the culture that are, really important when it comes to those relationships. For example, Aboriginal people, everything is built on a relationship. You have to have that relationship in place before any business is going to take place. And people don't always understand that. So, for example, some larger companies, they want to go in, here's the business deal, take it or leave it. We're on our way out if you're not signing right away. But really, it's all about relationships. And if that's going to be, your business style, then you're not who we're going to work with.
All right.
So,
wow.
So these are some really important, cultural things that are important for those business things to happen, sort of thing. So
right.
So yeah,
it's kind of cool to hear that. I have a friend who lives in Switzerland, and he kind of says the same thing. Like in Switzerland, you gotta build relationship over time before you can ever talk about business. Like if you just do the North American approach of getting into business right away, talking about business, trying to close, like they will shut you down. And so people who don't know that, the Aboriginal community would not even know that. And so, that's a kind of a cool thing for people to understand and for you to be able to help them with, to build the relationship before they try and close any business. Yeah.
And that's another reason why I really love customer service. Like it's all about just having a relationship. And, sometimes you go in and out of stores or, businesses that have got frontline customer service, and it drives me nuts. And I always wish I could tell them, I think that you need customer service training, but you kind of have to be creative with how you can approach that. Although, it's definitely a passion of mine. I think that all business starts with customer service, right? I mean, there's some business that, sure, you can buy it online, or businesses do happen, but if you want to have a long-term customer that's going to keep coming back to you, refer their friends, all of that kind of stuff, like customer service is number one. And with all of the technology that we utilize today, it's more of a challenge for people, and it shouldn't be.
Exactly. It shouldn't be. Jessica, let people know where they can find out more about you, how they can contact you, all those things that people need to know to get a hold of you.
Okay, well, I can be found on all social media because I'm a little bit of an addict. My website is jessicadumas.com, and so I can be found on Facebook and LinkedIn. My Twitter handle is at jdiddy2011, and my company is called Prime Image Life Coaching. I realized I didn't even mention that, but you can find that on Facebook as well. And I want to just mention something about my Twitter handle name because it's kind of funny. But I started playing a video game with one of my sons. And this was probably like 2009, 2010, and we had to make up characters. And as a joke, I made my video game character at J Diddy. And then so when I started Twitter, I didn't really understand what it was, and so I used the same name. And so a couple of years later, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of silly, but whatever. It's a fun story. So yeah, that's how I can be found. And like I said, all the social medias, I'm on there. Just search my name, Jessica Dumas, and there I am.
Excellent. And then, of course, your website's pretty easy, jessicadumas.com, that I'm on right now and looking at. That's a great website, by the way. And
Thank you.
all the different ways I'm connected with you on both LinkedIn and Twitter, and just sent you a Facebook one as well. So you are pretty easy to find on all of those social networks.
Great.
And good. So, thank you so much for your time today, Jessica. It took a while for us to get connected for the interview, but exciting and interesting to learn about yourself, the Aboriginal community, and Certified Coaches Federation, and what you're doing as a life coach to help people find and discover and pursue their passion and goals. Appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom, and you inspire me with your Journey to Success Radio, so I'm really honored to be your guest today.
Have an amazing day. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Journey to Success Radio. If you or anyone you know would like to be interviewed for the show, email Tom at tom2tall.com for details.